Okay. I'm gonna start this story about a blonde-haired, green-eyed elf, female. Um, she was, let's call her, let's see. Let's call her Coriander. I think that's a flower, or a spice or something. But Coriander is a green-eyed, blonde-haired elf, as I said. Pointy ears, that sort of thing. And Coriander blames her sister and her mother for knowing that she was sexually hurt. And she doesn't like the fact that when somebody gives her positive advice, she takes it as judgment. But anyway, she has a sister that is also an elf. Mousy brown hair that is mousy brown. Blue eyes, also an elf. Let's call her Jasira. Jasira would play outside, just minding her own business, playing in the mud, playing with little sticks and talking to her imaginary friend, and just either watching TV or playing with her toys, or just both playing with her toys and watching TV. Now, Coriander believes that Jasira and their mother also knew that she was sexually assaulted as a kid. And I cannot honestly say Jasira did not know that she was sexually assaulted. And neither did their mother. So, Coriander thinks that they knew, which they didn't. Jasira and Coriander, well, Jasira being a kid, and Coriander too being a kid, Jasira didn't know anything about sex at that point in time. But they knew how babies came out of the hoo-ha, and how babies were made and stuff like that. But Jasira did not know anything about the sexual assault. Nothing. So, if Coriander blames people for giving her positive advice or knowing what happened to her, then something is wrong there. But you cannot help somebody that thinks that they know, which they don't. You can't help how people think, what their thought process is or anything like that. So Coriander blames everyone around her for reasons unknown to the sister, Jasira, or the mother. So it's for Jasira, she doesn't understand why. Well, she does understand why she's angry and why she's bitter. Jasira knows that Coriander will always be bitter and angry and towards the world for the hurt that she was dealt. And Coriander will always, I think, struggle with this pain that she's had for a long time. But Jasira thinks that she's handling it in the wrong way. Jasira wants Coriander, her sister, to try and do something positive, but Jasira also knows that that Coriander is not gonna do something positive about the past trauma. Coriander is not willing to basically not move forward from this trauma. Some don't, you know, and that's understandable. It's Jasira knows that it's understandable that most people don't or have a hard time to that it's understandable that those that were sexually hurt, it's hard for them to move on and try and have a positive outlook and have a positive stuff in the real world, and it's understandably hard to even do anything positive. And Jasira knows, but Jasira also knows that she wants her sister Coriander to take care of her 2 sons, which Jasira knows that she doesn't make an effort to, well, I guess I shouldn't say anything about that, but Jasira knows that Coriander is going through a hard time right now with her ex, and but Jasira also knows that Coriander should take care of her boys, because her boys are number one at this point. But also, Jasira knows that Coriander's mental health is also important. But Coriander doesn't, in her opinion, doesn't need to talk to a shrink, because Coriander doesn't see that there's nothing wrong. But Jasira knows that mentally she's struggling, and Jasira wants what's best for her, but Coriander is just not willing to get out of this particular rut. So Jasira is worried for her sister Coriander, and their mother is also worried, and Coriander and her sons have been living with Jasira and her mother and for about 6 months. And Jasira is all but stretched thin with her nephew's noise and hyperactivity and whatever else that comes with children. 6 months is a long time for Jasira, for sure. So, yep, that's the story of Jasira and Coriander.